Good morning, everyone. So today we're going to do a little bit of a warm-up. There will be faces this morning. I've already sketched them out. It's a mixture of permanent rose and burnt sienna. Lifting the wet paint to create some highlights. When you have 100% cotton paper, it's easy to lift. So mixing more of the skin colour. Too much permanent rose makes it far too pink. It's quite dark. Paper is still wet, so the bleeds are quite pronounced. Just trying to smooth out some of the contours so that it's a little more natural looking. So as it's still wet, just focusing the pigment on the side of the face where most of the shadow will fall, including crevices and different places in the face. If the light is hitting from here, you would expect it not to, you would expect it to hit and create shadows. So if you've watched some other lives, you'd know that I am really experimenting with a very sketchy kind of feel. This paper is what we call hot press. It's quite smooth, as opposed to this paper, which has quite a bit of texture to it. Because of that, the watercolour reacts differently. It feels a little more blotchy. I have a feeling that this sketchbook, before I got it, was a little bit older to start with. It didn't have, it might not have been stored properly, and so the paper at times is a little bit unpredictable. That's because the sizing, or what they coat the paper with, is it can go off. So it does have an expiry date, especially if it's not stored properly. Okay, going with a favourite colour combination, which is this fiery orange, which I get Windsor orange and cadmium. I think it's cadmium, could be Scarlet Lake. I think it's Scarlet Lake actually. I really like this combination. Especially when I put it with the green, I find it very striking. This is a size 4 travel brush, Sable from Rosemary & Co. I do like their travel brushes. I find that they're very good for travelling, obviously. And I like that they have a cap that you can put on them. Picking up Perylene Green now, again, a beautiful colour. And you can see once these colours against each other, they really work very well. So it's a quick warm-up for the day. My intention today is to do a few abstract paintings, but this is good to warm up. So going back into the face, so I have that combination of permanent rose and I think it's burnt sienna or raw sienna, and to dull it down I'm going to add some violet. You can see it's significantly changed the colour, and I'm going to use that for my bigger shadows on the face, my more pronounced ones, while still keeping that tone of the skin. Okay. You can see that it's gotten a little bit muddy. Again, I think this paper has, it's not reacting as I expect, which is fine. This is part of the warm-up. It's a lot of the painting process is seeing how you react and how your paints react. With different paints, pigments, mediums. Okay, so very, very quick. At the moment I am happy with that. Just as a warm-up. The heavy lids have completely changed the feel. That was a mistake because I wasn't concentrating. I'm kind of over this now, over this part of the warm-up, and I want to get straight into the abstracts. that has changed the patience, and that just looks like a clown. Funny. Okay, quick warm up. Now I'm going to get into the abstracts, because that is what I'm going to concentrate on today. For this I want my fine brush and my dagger. And I'm going to go with this mixture of ultramarine and purple. I'll just re-wet that. I've been using that before. I might get more ultramarine blue. And I like this combination of ultramarine and I think it's dioxidine purple or violet or something. The reason for that is because the ultramarine is granulating. So I feel like I need much more moisture in there. A lot of abstract work. I understand that some people will look at it and think that makes no sense. That's fine. We can think that. But in order for abstract, I feel like it still needs to have a sense of balance. And still needs to have this very strong sense of contrast as well. Some more ultramarine. So on my brush I mixed ultramarine and indigo together. These little series of abstracts I've been really liking. These ones have not been put on the wood backing yet. These are just pieces of paper that I have cut to size. And if I'm happy with the series, I will put them on my regular display of wood, which is these. This one's already ready to go for my landscape, but the abstracts will also go on them if I decide that that's what I want to do with these. Already I'm liking the sense of movement in that. That's working quite well. There are some parts that I want to increase the dark areas, and again I feel like that's what makes some of these pieces really shine, is the difference between light and dark. I think it's the same with a lot of things. Our eyes are drawn to contrast and movement. This is a fine liner. This is a size 0 Rosemary & Co. sable brush. I have a feeling it is a rigger brush. I can't remember exactly. So more ultramarine, and I love that you can see already that the paint is really separating in some areas. That's really lovely. When the paper is cold pressed, so when the paper has that texture, then it's really good for these granulating pigments, because that texture, it's like the paint finds a little space in the paper to sit into, and that's kind of increases the texture. As with all of my paintings, or nearly all of them, I try and make a feature of the sparkle. So I've got some Coliro silver here. I did like the Coliro colours. They come in these round pans, which is incredibly inconvenient in a square tin. They have their own tin you can put it in, but I find that incredibly inconvenient. So I've got handmade gold watercolour that's in a square now, so it can fit nicely in my palette. There's one there, and that is much more convenient for me. But I've yet to have a silver in the handmade, so I have to use these round ones for now. And these are different to regular watercolour in that they are mica pigments, so the same kind of material that's used in like eyeshadow to make it sparkly and things like that. And with these you have to put the water on first, and you have to spend a lot of time activating the watercolor, like activating the color. It could be just what it's made of, that powder, that mica sparkly powder, just takes a long time to activate. So you kind of want it, you can start to see that the water is thickening up, and that's when you know that a lot of those sparkly pieces have been suspended in the liquid, and that's what you want. So for me, I know that's still a little bit too runny. That's just from experience. For others, you know, they'll paint quite well with this. With this particular colour, I noticed that with this painting it's going to be a little bit different, because there's such a big contrast. Like this is quite light compared to the darkness of this one. Some of these areas are still quite wet. I'm just going to drop in that pigment. There you go, and it's pushing it out. And it's making these really nice bleeds. And it's kind of pushed out the darker pigment and put in, like, really made the ultramarine blue stand out. I'm going to put some more in here and let that run. Oh, I like them. Those are lovely. Really nice. So the reason that it's doing this is because that paint is still quite wet. Okay. That's probably quite difficult to see. I'll see if it focuses in. Okay. See how it's made some quite incredible shapes. And it almost looks like coral, and it's got its own flow. I'm going to keep that, and I'm going to tease some of them out. So I want, against the lightness, I want a little bit more darkness, so I'm going to pick up some indigo, and I'm going to go in with some dark pigment, and you can see that's running over there nicely in some areas. That's exactly what I want. It's quite surprising. I make miniature landscapes, as many of you know, but it's the abstracts that take most of my time. They look like they come together quite quickly, but for me and my practice, they often take double, sometimes triple the time of an ordinary landscape. I really like this one. So I've got one more to do today, so I'll pop this aside and I will do one more, and I'll pop my microphone off and just let you watch.